2021 was the year that saw the execution of more than 130 space missions. The quest to reach the final frontier included 3 Mars missions, the James Webb Telescope mission, and a new space station. Billionaires were also getting in on the action. The space tourism boom saw the likes of Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and Elon Musk launch projects this year. And life imitated art when Star Trek's William Shatner took off into space in the quest for life, but not as we know it. For more on those space cadets, I'm going to pick the brains of astronomer Francisco Diego, who joins me now from London. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, Dr. Diego. So I'm going to begin with space tourism. It seems to have become the preserve of the mega-rich. Do you see that changing in the future?
I hope so. The activities in space, I mean, we will talk about that later on, but are being out of control at the moment, and that needs to be regulated. So especially when it comes to commercial and tourism, it has to be regulated because we are in a very agile environment, very fertile environment with many actors in the system, and there are lives, human lives in the balance here. So we have to be very careful with what we do. Certainly, yes, it's very welcome that people, normal people, so to speak, we call them normal people, are able to go to space, but this has to be done very carefully.
The recent clash between Elon Musk and China raised concerns about policing in space. What sort of role does the UN Space Agency play, and how efficient is it?
Not at all. I mean, these things are happening in a very free way, where people are, like Elon Musk is sending thousands of satellites into space without any restrictions. There is an outer space treaty from the United Nations that was set up at the time of the Apollo mission last century, and that hasn't been implemented. It needs to be updated and needs to be implemented and enforced. It has to be legally bound.
There have been concerns raised about space debris and how to tackle that and the fear of collisions. Do you think that enough is being done about that?
Oh, not at all. I mean, these thousands of satellites are exactly space debris in a way. They are active and useful, but they are space debris, and they have put in danger. I mean, the International Space Station has been in danger because of some tests that the Russians did not long ago, and the Chinese have done similar things, and now the Chinese themselves, their own Chinese space station was at risk of collision with one of these Elon Musk's satellites. They have to have evasive actions. So it has to be regulated because we are just starting this. It's going to escalate to uncontrollable ways. The Outer Space Treaty has to be enforced, as I said, and I will say several times probably. It has to be done, it has to be legally binding.
How do you see that happening?
Well, we are now dealing with something which is similar to climate change, is similar to the climate crisis that we have on this planet. It has to be a global action of all the nations getting together to tackle climate change and to tackle the future exploration of space. We are going to the moon and Mars. We have to I mean, there are lives at the stake here, and also scientific information, because if we're not careful, we are going to destroy the scientific evidence that is waiting there for us to discover about origin of life and life elsewhere, and that has to be reserved, very pristine. I have the example of the Antarctic Treaty, for example. The Antarctic Treaty is a good example, it's a good model to follow, where a lot of nations are participating in scientific exploration on the Antarctica, and that has to be kind of enhanced and implemented, that kind of model for the Outer Space Treaty.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, Dr. Diego.
It's a pleasure.